Hi everyone. So I wanted to show you in my quest for my ongoing education and my desire to teach adults theology. I also do a lot of reading, and this is one of the books that I read. After Suicide, There's Hope for Them and You. It's by Father Chris Ayla, and they sell it through the Marian website. If you go to marian.org, you can buy a copy there. I bought it a number of years ago, not now, and I bought it because one of the girls that I lived with in England had committed suicide, Elizabeth, and she was my friend. And also one of my mother's cousins had committed suicide. We used to call him Bebe. His name was Julius. But I just thought, let me read up on it and see, what I find useful and helpful in it. And just to go back to my earlier talk, suicide is a choice. It's a choice that you make to end your life, just like assisted suicide. In Canada, there's no safeguards against it. Anybody can say that, they feel that their life is not worth living anymore. And they're forcing it on people who do not have jobs, people who are unemployed, when actually the circumstances in this country are the problem. People want to work, people want to have productive lives, people want to have full lives and abundant lives, and we are being pushed into poverty. So they can't blame us for that and then force us to take psychiatric treatment and drugs and all these things, because they inflict hurt on others. They'll end up getting hurt, and then they want to make you pay for it. So I just thought I would share this as a resource for people who want to read. Father Ayla is a very good priest, and when I can, I do join in when he gives the talks on a Saturday. I listen to his talks, and there's powerful examples in here. There's a story of a girl who told her mother that she just feels like she needs to commit suicide. And she went out into the barn and she hung herself. Her mother didn't pay attention to what she was saying. And she thought, children, they just talk, but she killed herself. So when your children tell you things, actually listen to them, because, sometimes they may need mental health support. Sometimes they may need prayers to be said for them. It also gives you the underlying causes for that, whether it's grief, complicated grief, the bridges between despair and trust, and also looking at hope. What role does hope play, and what role does God's mercy play in our lives and in the lives of the victims or families of suicide? There's a lovely image here of Jesus, the merciful Jesus, the Redeemer. So I wanted to share that because I did read the book, and it's very well done. It's very well written. There are references to scripture and scriptures on God's mercy, and also that there's hope for them and us, that we will be together in eternity. We can pray for those who have committed suicide, and we can pray against that in our own lives. We can pray for protection against those suicidal thoughts of committing suicide, thoughts of, suicide being glorified, like the suicide bombers, all those images we saw of 9/11, where people committed suicide, and in the process they took many innocent people with them. So that's something I just wanted to share. But I think if we're dealing with adult education, it's different compared to children's education. And that's where I would like to be, in that space, dealing with adult education. We can look at different factors. There are underlying risks that will affect people. And Father lists the warnings here and the risks. People who, like I mentioned, talked about killing themselves, feeling of hopelessness, having no reason to live, being a burden to others, feeling trapped, unbearable pain. and the behavior changes, so increased use of drugs or alcohol, looking for ways to end their lives, searching for those things on the internet, withdrawing from activities, isolating from family and friends, sleeping too much or too little, visiting or calling people to say goodbye, giving away prized possessions, aggression, fatigue, so not sleeping properly. There's mood disorders as well. Depression, and when I say depression, I don't mean something temporary, like with me. I get depressed because I don't have a job and I don't have an income. That's natural. That's different from an ongoing deep depression. Anxiety, loss of interest in things, irritability, humiliation or shame, agitation or anger, relief or sudden improvement. And others can humiliate us. I've been humiliated. Like when my aunt and my uncles and everybody said to me, "Oh, you can't. We just don't think you can hold a job. We're just concerned about you." To me, that's humiliation, because I didn't make Canada the way it is. I didn't make it a society where they hire people on contracts and then they don't make you permanent and they don't give you good paid jobs and salaries. Even after graduating, even after getting my degrees, my diplomas, without any of their help, they still humiliated me like that. So the police humiliated me when they summoned me to the police station. But I just said, you know what? They are the problem, not me. Because they can't see my skills. They can't see how good I am. They can't see that I'm confident. They see me how they see the world. So I told myself, it's a shame. Yeah, it is a shame, and it's a stain on my reputation, but it's not my fault, because discrimination exists in Canada. And then with the risk factors, we have to look at mental health conditions, substance abuse problems, bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, mood changes, poor relationships, aggression, conduct disorders, serious physical health conditions including pain, traumatic brain injuries, depression. All of those things increase the risk of suicide. Environmental factors, access to lethal means including firearms and drugs, prolonged stress such as harassment, bullying, relationship problems or unemployment, stressful life events like rejection, divorce, financial crisis, other life transitions or loss, exposure to another person's suicide or to graphic or sensationalized accounts of suicide. And all of us have been exposed to 9/11. I mean, those images were live all over the world. All of us saw those. And the suicide bombers were seeking glorification. They got no glorification from us. None. Their families got no glorification. Their societies got no glorification. They just made fools of themselves, just like Hamas. They're stupid idiots that don't know anything better than taking women, raping them, killing, destroying, just like Boko Haram in Nigeria. They're complete assholes and complete idiots, and they think people look up to them. Nobody looks up to them. They're the scum of the earth, and nobody gives a shit what they do. If they commit suicide, who cares? Instead of making something of their lives, they want to take women, rape them, destroy everything you work for, destroy your financial institutions, and they think that makes them big men. Oh no, it doesn't. Or big women. Oh no, it doesn't. And then we have to also look at historical factors: suicide attempts, family history of suicide, childhood abuse, neglect, or trauma. Those are all the factors that we have to take into account. And I would add poverty, because if you're living in ongoing poverty, it affects you. And nobody wants to go and live in poverty. Believe you me, when the priests say they're living in poverty, they're not sitting and living in a tent somewhere. They are not living in huts somewhere. They're not living without water and without food. It's not extreme poverty. They don't go with the cupboards being bare. They're taking vows to live a life where they're not living in opulence, where they're not supposed to be buying Porsche cars or Mercedes Benz, but many of them do. So when they take those vows of poverty, it's not what people think it is. They have vast lands, they have, some of them, even the monks, they make cheese, they make wine. They're not living in extreme poverty like what I grew up in. It's not the way people think it is. So Father gives prayers here at the end that we can do. He gives resources, which is good for spiritual directors to know, like resources that you can refer people to, warning signs that I went through. He gives resources on prayers you can tell people to say, like the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and also how to say the prayers to keep sacramentals at home, grief prevention, grief support, I should say, and groups that they can turn to. And then also the Seven Sorrows Rosary. So the Seven Sorrows Rosary is looking at the sorrows of Our Lady, and it was given to the visionary Marie Claire of Kabiko in Rwanda. And that was before Rwanda had all the massacres that took place. So you can say this Seven Sorrows of Our Lady Rosary as well. And then spiritual opportunities, just looking at how we can take that to God and ask God to help us. And for those of us who come from families where there's been suicide, or where our friends have committed suicide, we can take that to the Lord and we can ask for protection over us so that we don't do the same thing. So I think it's a good resource to have, and to have that epiphany of hope, and to know that Jesus is with us, and Jesus does not ask us to choose death. He doesn't ask us to become suicide bombers. He doesn't ask us to kill ourselves. He asks us to live, and to live life abundantly. So I thought I would share that. It's by Father Chris Ayla and Jason Lewis. This is the book. And it's a good resource. I enjoyed reading it. And I also liked reading other people's stories. I was shocked that that girl told her mother that, and then she just went and did it. It's strange to me, because I think it's evil. I think it's evil that drives people to do that. So that's the resource. I thought I'd share it. I'll share other resources that I have. This is a more modern one. I've also got some other books that I read, some that have been written by Pope Francis, others that have been written by different authors. So I'll share them over time. But for today, I just wanted to cover that one, and to emphasize again that that's what I want to do. I want to go into teaching theology and to work with adults, to work with adult learners. That's what I would like to do. If Father Michael Kalachik was here, I would ask him, because I enjoyed doing the Old Testament with him. But he's not here. So I'll look at other avenues, and I'll keep exploring what's available, and I'll keep doing these kinds of talks and posting them. And I do hope they help people. And I help people when I get money coming in. I do help people. I donate some of the money that I receive to the church, to sports organizations, to other institutions who have global outreaches. So I don't keep it all for myself. I do help other people.